Okay, in this lecture, let's focus on how to make a selection around human figures. Let's say if I want to remove the background behind this woman, in Adobe Photoshop latest version, Adobe team is introduced a great tool called Select Subject. So I can find that option if I choose Select Subject, or if I pick Object Selection Tool or Quick Selection Tool or Magic Wand Tool, I can find that option in option bar here. So let's see what happened if I click that. So guys, it may take a few seconds. There you go. Now you can see a selection around the human figure. So keep in mind this option is well works for make a selection around human figures. And also keep in mind when you use this option, it's only targeting more prominent subject in your image and make a selection around it. So when there is too much highlight areas will not be identified by this tool. So if I zoom the document, I can check whether this selection is properly done around with the edges of this lady. So in here I can identify selection is missing over here, because I told you select subject option is always identifying most prominent subject in your image. Therefore, as this area is too much light, that tool is avoid to make a selection over here. Likewise, let's pan the document with hold the space bar, and you must check and verify if any places missing the selection before you remove the background. Right, so I think these places are fine. Right, okay, so it seems other areas are good, and I have to fix this area only. So guys, I want to add a selection over here. So what I'm doing is right click on pen tool and pick curvature pen tool, and then from here make sure path option is active. Then click this option and make sure to activate rubber band option. Now you know how curvature pen tool is working. Yes, it's working similar way as you learned in Adobe Illustrator. So guys, as I want to add a selection to this current selection, I must begin to draw a segment from inside of the current selection. So let me start from here and continue to add anchors like this. Let's say in case my drawing is went wrong, something like this, I can tap Ctrl Z to undo the actions and then continue to add anchors along the edges. So keep in mind while you're adding anchors, you can zoom in, zoom out the document, as well as you can pan the document with all the space bar. Right, so from this point onwards I must add anchors inside the current selection like this, and then with the hold the Alt key, click the start anchor point to close the segment. Now let's add the selection. To do that, right click inside the path and choose make selection option. Then as I want to add another selection to the current selection, I must activate add to selection option here and make sure feather radius is 0 and anti-alias is turned on here, and then click OK. There you go. Now if I tap Ctrl 0, I can fit the entire image on screen. Okay, now let's remove the background. Before that, you must convert the background layer to normal layer. So right click and select layer from background. So let me type a name here, woman, and click OK. Now if I tap delete key, it's deleted the woman instead of the background. As I want to remove the background, I must inverse the selection before tap delete button. So let me tap Ctrl Z to undo the action. And now if I choose select inverse, or if I tap Ctrl Shift I can inverse the selection. Then if I tap delete key, I can remove the background. Then tap Ctrl D for deselect the current selection. And also, let's say if I want to make a selection again around the woman image, with hold the Ctrl or Command key, if I click this layer thumbnail, then I can make a selection on that subject. Okay, now let's try to remove the background of this image. So let's choose select subject, right? Okay, now we have a selection made around the subject, and next step is I'm gonna find the places where I'm missing the selection and fix them. So let's focus on the upper part of this image and fix them first. So in here, right, in this place, and over here, and over here, over here, and in here, I have to add selection to the current selection. So with the curvature pen tool, make sure path option is active here, and from here make sure rubber band is active, and let me draw some paths like this. Likewise in here. Okay, and this place. As well as in this place, you can see it's not properly aligned, right? So I have to start from this place and draw a segment like this. Right, and as well as here. Right, now with the path selection tool, let's select all these path with hold the shift key. Okay, then right click and choose make selection, and choose add to selection, and make sure feather radius is 0 and anti-alias is on, and click OK. There we go. So likewise, I have to find places where to add the selection around the image. So by panning the document, let me try to fix them. So I think in here I have to add the selection. So with the curvature pen tool, let's start to draw paths. Right, that is done. And in here also has to be corrected. So guys, when you're drawing inside the selection, it doesn't require to draw precisely, right? So guys, this image is a little bit complex. So as a beginner, you may feel a little bit hard when you do the selections, but never give up and try to fix. Right, now I am ready with the paths. So what I'm doing is activate the path selection tool from here and draw a marquee like this to cover the entire image to select all paths. Right, now if I zoom the document, you can see all paths are selected with the path selection tool. So now what I'm doing is right click and choose make selection and choose add to selection and click OK. There we go. Okay, now I have to find the places where to subtract the selection. So guys, you will require to subtract the selection if the selection is run beyond the edges. So if I zoom the document, in this place I can see the selection is ran beyond the edges. Therefore I must subtract the current selection to fix that. So what I'm doing is, again with the curvature tool, I begin to draw a path. So this time I must draw the path outside from the selection boundary like this. Okay, then right click and choose make selection, and from here this time you must activate subtract from selection option and make sure anti-alias is on and feather value is 0 and click OK. There we go. Likewise guys, let me fix all the areas where to subtract the selection. So with the curvature tool, First let's draw all paths. Okay. And in this area also need to subtract the selection. As well as in here. There we go. Now again with the path selection tool, draw a marquee to cover the entire image to select all paths. Then I'll right click and choose make selection, and from here activate subtract option and click OK. There we go. Now I have some little more tweaks before remove the background. So in this center position there are some white spaces, so I must subtract them also from the selection before remove the background. To do that, this time let's choose a magic wand tool and then activate subtract option here and select white spaces like this. So just you have to click. Okay. But guys, in here it seems it's over selected the subject. So what I'm doing is reduce the tolerance little bit and try. So keep in mind ideal tolerance value is 32. In case if you need to increase or decrease the value, let's do that, and after that set it to the default value. Okay, so before that let me tap Ctrl Z 2 times to undo the action and set the value here for 20. Okay, so now let's try with that. Right, seems good. Okay, it's working. There you go. Also there are a few places, so let me fix them with a magic wand tool. In here as well as in here, and in here. Right, now convert the background layer to a normal layer from here, and let's inverse the selection. So tap Ctrl Shift I, then tap delete key. There you go. Okay, now let's learn another selection method. Imagine that I want to remove the background of this kite image. To do that, I'm going to use Polygonal lasso tool. If I right click on the lasso tool, I can find polygonal lasso tool from here. Then make sure new or add to selection option is active, and feather value is 0 and anti-alias is on. So guys, basically anti-alias option is maintain the smoothness of the selection. Then let's click on this point and release the mouse button. So guys, you can zoom in, zoom out the document, and if you tap and hold the space bar, you can pan the document, right? Then point the tool to the next edge of corner point and click to add the selection border. Likewise, I can continue to add borders along the edge, right? So tap and hold spacebar, pan it, and add the selection border. In case if the selection is went wrong, I can tap backspace key to delete the last selection borders, and then continue to add. Okay. Let's say if I want to complete the selection, I must click the start point of the selection border. So when I have the mouse point on start point, I can see a tiny circle beside the polygonal lasso tool. So if I click, I can complete the selection. Then I can tap Ctrl Shift I to inverse the selection. Before tap delete key, let's convert the background layer into normal layer from here. Okay, and then tap delete key. There we go. Okay, so that's all about in this lecture, and guys, you can add a new backgrounds to these images if you want, and don't forget to save the document as a PSD, I mean a Photoshop file. And let's move to my next lecture to learn some more basic selection methods. Thank you.